Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Whitney with That Whitney Life. In this video, I have 3 really cute farmhouse DIYs for you that are under $5. All Dollar Tree stuff. Okay, no, that's a lie. Some Joann's, but still, under $5. They're kind of on the spring side, but I feel like farmhouse is pretty interchangeable. So I didn't want to call it spring because I'm probably going to keep them up year round. So if you're interested to see how these turned out, just keep on watching. So this first one is way easy. I just picked 3 books from the Dollar Tree, just random books. I tried to pick kind of cohesive sizes, but I did want a variety. So I got 2 of the same size and one that's a little bit smaller. I wanted kind of a gradient effect in size, but they didn't really have like one that's in the middle. But anyways, I just took the covers to them and flipped them inside out. They were white on the other side, so I thought I would just utilize that instead of painting them. You can kind of see the writing through and the patterns, but it wasn't too bad, so I wasn't super worried about it. I just went ahead and put a little bit of glue on them. Since it wasn't their natural fold, they wanted to bow out a little bit, so I thought gluing them down would help, and it did a little bit. So now I'm taking these stickers. These are from Michael's, and I've had them for years. I got them to do a craft project as groomsmen and bridesmaids gifts for my wedding, which was almost 6 years ago. So I've had them for quite some time, and I never really did anything with them. So I'm just spelling out home on 2 of them and sweet on 1 of them. So it's going to say, you guessed it, home sweet home. And I just thought this would be a really cute one. I was going to do like home sweet farmhouse. I've seen people do that and I think it's really cute, but I don't have a farmhouse. So I thought I'd be a little bit of an imposter there. Now, you can, if I had a good Cricut, I would do it with the Cricut, but my Cricut is actually the first one that they made, and it was given to me. So it doesn't do a whole lot, and not to mention I did run out of transfer tape, but it only has 4 fonts on it, and I could make it small enough to fit this, but it just wasn't, again, I don't have any transfer tape, so I couldn't anyways, but it just wasn't the look that I was going for. So I chose to use these stickers since I've had them forever and not done anything with them. But there's absolutely easier ways that you can do this. So now I'm going to use some of this burlap I got on Amazon. It's about 3 inches wide. And I'm just looping it around. I'm gluing it to the burlap. I didn't want to glue it to the books because I want to be able to change it out if I wanted. So now I'm taking buffalo check ribbon that I got off Amazon. I love this ribbon. I will link it down below. It's awesome. And I'm just going to layer that up. And again, I'm just gluing the ribbon to itself. And now I'm just wrapping some jute twine around it and tying a little bow and clipping off the excess. And that is it for this. I love them. I love the idea of decorating with books. It's such a cheap and easy, elegant, rustic way to fill up space. So I really love these. I think it's so cute. I think I might make more. Now this next one, you will need a family sign or whatever wood sign you choose and one of the Crafter's Square heart blocks. I am going to fill in that hole. It is a hanging heart, so I'm going to fill in that hole because I don't want you to be able to tell that there's a hole there. And I'm just using the lightweight spackling from the Dollar Tree. And now I'm using Folk Art chalk paint and Maui sand. It's just this really nice kind of charcoaly gray color. And I'm going to give this a good coat in all the nooks and crannies. Now, you probably could spray paint this. I don't really keep a lot of spray paint on hand because I just don't use it that much. But this had a lot of nooks and crannies in it. So I kind of toyed with it. But I just thought that painting would probably, with the brush, would probably be better. Now, since that spackling's dry, I'm just going to take some sandpaper and just sand it down a little bit so it's nice and smooth. I got out of camera because I didn't want the dust to get on the wet paint. And then I'm just going to give that a coat of paint as well. And then I'm going to dry brush. I forgot to turn on my camera the first round, so I was like, oops. So I'm just dry brushing it with white. It's just taking the tiniest bit of paint. And now this is a love sign from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to rip that burlap kind of hard off of it and take the hanging part out. I struggled with the last staple. It just did not want to come out, so I had to sand it down a little bit. And I'm just giving it one coat of, you can probably guess what paint I'm using, Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white. I'm just doing one coat. I wanted this to be, obviously, rustic, farmhouse, of course. So I just sanded it down a little bit after it was dry to give it kind of a weathered look. And now this is where I struggled so much. Okay, so I'm just gluing these two things down to this board. But I got a new glue gun. And the glue gun itself isn't bad, but the glue sticks were. So I just really struggled gluing that thing down. Now I'm just taking some jute twine and wrapping it around both ends in kind of a crisscross pattern. I really like doing this to fill up space. So yeah, the sign fell off again. And the thing about this glue gun is I believe it's low temp, but it didn't say the temp on the description. So I guess I should have read the reviews a little bit. But it's not good when you need a lot of glue. It is great for small projects, which is usually what I do. So I wasn't really that worried about it, but it's not good for large projects. It just can't warm the glue fast enough. So I really struggled with that. In fact, it came off again. So now I'm taking some lavender that I got at Joann's. I'm going to glue that across the top after I glue my family sign back on. I wanted you guys to see the struggle, and I wanted to tell you about the glue gun. I really like the glue gun. It's cordless, which is awesome. It just cannot do large projects. So I had to bust out my other one. But anyways, I'm just gluing on the lavender across the top. And then I just kind of played around with how I was going to cover the stems. I decided to pop some boxwood on that is also from Joann's. I get it from Walmart and Joann's. The Joann's is better quality. And if you get it on sale, it's about $1.20 a pick. This is ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's their burlap and lace one. I glued this on initially. So I just made like a simple bow. I glued it on initially. And then I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I don't like that. So I ripped it off. And then I took these flowers from the Dollar Tree, put one of those on, and I really liked that. So that is it for this project. It was just like $4 and some change probably. I think it's so cute. I had this idea for a long time. I just didn't have the exact supplies that I wanted, but I love it. And the last one is, I think, maybe my favorite. This is one of the little trucks from Crafter's Square, and I'm just painting the wheel wells with that Maui Sand Folk Art paint. And I also did the hubcaps, but I decided to go back and change it. And then I filled in the holes with the lightweight spackling. So the paint that I'm using for the hubcaps is Folk Art chalk paint in Parisian Gray, I believe it's called. It's a really pretty gray color. So after the lightweight spackling is dry, I'm going to, of course, sand it down to make it smooth. And I realized what one of the hubcaps is, it's like it's a real truck or something. One of the hubcaps is kind of funky, but I didn't realize it until after I bought it, and, you know, you got to work with what you have. So now I'm just painting the tires, obviously black. This is Art Minds chalk paint in Onyx, and I actually really like this chalk paint. It's really thick, but it's pretty good. And now I'm just touching up the hubcaps. I got a little black paint on them, but that's okay. It covered up really nicely. And then the little, I don't know what those are called. I just painted those black as well. And now I'm going to use, to paint the truck, this is Folk Art chalk paint in the color Glacier, and it's just really pretty light blue color. I have lots of pops of blue in my house, and I've been really into like blue and white together, like especially navy, so I thought this would be a really nice complement to the other decor that I have. I just gave that a good coat. I only needed one coat. Folk Art chalk paint's really good. You really usually only need one coat. So I went back and touched some things up because when I squeezed the paint bottle of the blue paint, it's getting kind of low, so it splattered out on some things. So I just had to touch it up. I was just cracking up at that back tire, though. It's kind of reminded me of, like, googly eyes. So I was like, oh, well, I guess my truck has a little bit more character. Now I forgot to show what the sign looked like before. It's one of those give thanks signs it's from the Dollar Tree, and it was during fall. It had, like, the sunflowers on it. It had a banner that said give thanks. It was one of those. I just flipped it over and gave it a coat of paint, of course, my favorite white paint. And then I did lines with Sharpie that were the width of the ruler, and went back and sanded them down so it didn't look so harsh. And now I thought the truck was a little bit too perfect, so I took that Maui sand color and just dry brushed over it real quick. I just gave it a super light dry brush. And here is where I make things harder than they need to be. And I realize now that I should have done this on a ruler and kind of had the stickers hanging off a little bit, but I didn't do that. So I am just placing the letters down very lightly on this, and I thought I could take some painter's tape and just lift it off like no problem, and that didn't happen. So I got most of the letters off. I just had to place the other ones on by hand, and now I'm going to glue that right on this sign, and I'm going to take some flowers. These are from the Dollar Tree, and glue them on so it looks like it's hauling some flowers. I thought about putting Farm Fresh on the top, but I decided to skip that. So now I'm clipping off some lavender, and so I have the leaves and everything, and I just thought it needed to be more full, so I popped those in underneath the flowers, and then I did some more lavender in the corner with more Dollar Tree flowers to cover up the stems. And then I was trying to figure out, I thought the bottom was a little plain, like the top has cute things going on, but the bottom was a little plain. And then I was like, I think I'm going to create a border with the jute twine. So I started out by gluing it slightly on the back of the sign, if that makes sense. So you couldn't see where the jute twine was going to meet when I was done. And used the littlest bits of glue and ran this all the way around the sign. Make sure you're pushing the jute twine into all those corners so it lines the sign really nicely. This is something that was an afterthought. So if you're gonna do this project, I definitely would do this first thing because it was kind of a pain to move all those flowers, and I was worried I was gonna pull them off. It worked out fine, but it's just one of those things where I was kind of like face palming, where I was like, I should have done this ahead of time. But again, sometimes when you're doing crafts, you have an idea and you execute that idea, and then when you look at it, when it's like out of your brain and on, you have it done, you're like, something's missing. So that's what happened here. And then when I was done, I just glued that little bit back on the back of it. And here it is. I think it's so cute. I love this. Let me know what your favorite one was. I would love to hear it. And if you're going to recreate any of these, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one. God bless.